All right, everybody out there in the internet land, I have a super duper guest. I feel like I combed the internet and I found like the most intriguing, interesting people doing really cool stuff behind the scenes. He's a very humble guy. You like when you have to do a deep Google on him because he's very humble. I mean, he's been working with Real Illusion. You know, guys, I've been loving that software lately. He's been working, Iclone, the whole kit and caboodle. He's doing motion capture. I mean, he's at the cutting edge. He's been there since like the beginning. He's at the cutting edge. He's been doing, not like motion capture like, a lot of us on a smaller level. I'm talking huge motion capture. I mean, he did work with the replicas with Reeves. He's worked with, I think it's even been posted a Suicide Squad. So I know you guys are very intrigued by that. He's been doing not only motion capture, previs for movies and stuff like that, which can be done on a huge level, on a small level to save you money. I mean, he's done so much. I know I'm just scratching the surface. I'm trying to get all the information he's done, but I want to welcome you guys to. I feel like the motion caption guru is what I call him. That's James C. Martin.
What's up? What's good? Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. And great introduction. I also used to airbrush in a mall in Kentucky once upon a
Oh,
time. There's
wow.
good
The list
stories
goes
there.
on and on. So
Totally.
I want to dive straight into it. Okay, so James, you're coming out of high school, right? Is
hmm
that where you start? You watch The Matrix and you get inspired, like, oh, we gotta go AR. How did your inception? How did it start?
Man, so we had, a very limited access to anything that was beyond really basic industrial tech. I'm talking like CAD, some plot pointing. You might be able to like make a little plaque for your desk or something like that. Very limited broadcast. Certainly no 3D or real 2D animation. I had a really strong art teacher though, who challenged me in fine art a lot, and fine art kind of kept me going. Like I said, the airbrush thing was legit. That was one of my first gigs out of high school, and just I kept chasing art, and it was let's see, I want to say about 1998 or so. I left Kentucky. I went to Florida. I went to the Art Institute down in Fort Lauderdale. Ran into a bunch of pirates that are now kind of kings of
Pirates.
industry. Yeah, man, you might find them at Weta or hanging out with
Okay.
JJ. They're all over the place now. So some interesting guys that were really talented dudes, and we had a good class, and yeah, man, that led me to doing some art direction down in Hollywood, Florida. And I was running a small graphic design firm and a few artists under me and just living life. And my brother flew to Taipei for working with this company named Real Illusion. And he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, man, I know you like the sculpt. I know you got all those maquettes for one of your cartoon treatments you're working on. Why don't you send me some pictures of those maquettes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man.
Let me
Why?"
pause. Let me pause right there. For those
Sure.
who don't know, including myself, what's a maquette?
Mm. So a actual sculpture of a character design, right? So you bust out the aluminum foil and the coat hangers and you make the form, and then you slap on the sculpty on top of that. And if you're really nerdy like me, you break out the colored sculpty, dude, and you do the clothing and you do the full character design. But what you have at the end of the day, and you can bake in your own oven and cure at 275 degrees, you can basically make some really cool little sculptures. And I had a super dope professor named Mike Carnegie, rest in peace, big shout out, who was famous for his character design. And he was like the George Carlin of character design. He was
Wow.
super grumpy and super knowledgeable, and always opinionated about the right way to do things. And so he inspired me to really take my character design to the next level.
Right.
And so I had these sculptures, right? Physical 3D character design, right? And so my brother was like, "Hey, send me some photos." And 2 days later, I had walking, talking 3D avatars, and I was like, what is this voodoo? What is this black magic? This was 2004. So next thing I know, I'm putting in my 2 weeks because I was like, the software is going to change the world. And a year later, Iclone 1 was born.
Wow. Wow. So you started Iclone prior to Iclone 1.
Yeah,
Wow.
believe it or not, there was an earlier inception. You have to go super far back in the archive to find it. But Iclone was once called It's Me, believe it or not.
It's me. Things they didn't know. Wow.
Hmm.
So, okay, picking up that story. So you're jumping onto Iclone, right? You went
Hmm.
from the real world into the digital world, creating assets. All right. So when you get into Iclone, intrigued, are you interested in the technology? Because a lot of people use the technology trying to get to a destination, and a lot of people are interested in the technology itself. Where
Sure.
would you find yourself on that one?
Well, I came at it from a fine art point of view, but I'm a old school 3D Max guy, right? So back before Autodesk bought Maya, and before it became this behemoth sort of monopoly of the industry for many years, there was this real-time little engine that just kept refining, kept building, kept growing. And it was interesting because it was all built around character animation predominantly. And I could sculpt by hand. I could spline model some stuff, and use NURBS and that kind of thing, but like was never really good enough to really kind of get to where I wanted to be, with all of my character design, with my cinematics, that kind of thing. And what I found quickly with this solution, it was giving me closer to a creative outlet quicker,
Wow.
and allowing me to be a storyteller faster.
Mm.
So I just, I kind of latched on for the ride, and really held on until real time became cool and people needed optimized assets.
Wow. Wow. See, that makes sense. You jumped in there early. That makes a lot of sense. That's pretty cool. That's so. All right. So that was, let's say, about X amount of years ago, right?
Hmm.
So from there,
15, 16, somewhere around there.
15. Okay, I didn't want to date it, but okay. So you get into that, right? And
Hmm.
you're growing, you're learning, your knowledge is going. From that, I guess my question is, how did you go into teaching it? Like, how did you go from like, I'm so good, I gotta teach now, or was it a demand? How did you like transition? Because a lot of people just kind of stay on one end of the creativity, and they don't
Hmm.
have, because teaching itself is a skill set, right? So
Sure.
it's not like it's hard to communicate like certain ideas and ideologies and thought processes and ways of thinking, especially when the technology is like ever changing every day. So how did you get into the teaching aspect of it?
Well, you know what they say, people that can do and people that can do both teach and do. So that's where the professor of practice title comes in, because we're actually working industry artists. We're in the trench. We're cranking out. We're on dailies. We're on deadlines. That's what we
Right.
do. And really, I guess, man, like, teaching was something that came out of demand from the market. So I had a lot of independent artists, independent studios, in some cases, not so independent artists and studios. Sometimes it was, large movies or producers, to come call and say, hey, can you attach? Can you train people? Can you,
Wow.
jump on board and provide, solution X, Y, or Z? Because what many people make a misconception about the Revolution family of tools is that iClone is just for motion capture, when it's so much more. You've got particles, you've got physics, you've got destructibles, you've got lights, you've got the full camera system that you'll find in Maya with all the film backs. Now with the compatibility with Unreal and Unity and so many other tools, it's really a crossroads, right? It's a Swiss Army knife for guys who need a lot of solutions, and girls. So essentially, we basically had a variety of people, because there's a very small handful of people here in the United States that work directly and closely affiliated with Reallusion. There's only a couple in Canada, and everything else is based in Taiwan and Taipei. So Taipei City is where you'll find the headquarters, and Taiwan's not a huge country, so there's not a lot of support there beyond our research and development efforts, right? And so here in the United States, there was a lot of people and a lot of interest. And that was why I sought to become a certified trainer for them back when the certification was only offered in mainland China. So I became the first certified trainer for Reallusion 13 years ago, 14 years ago, something like that here in the States. So I had the ability to, go on to larger projects and train people. And that led to a life in academia, which, has me doing a lot of research and a lot of new types of volumetric capture and volumetric plus integration of other tools, a lot of inertia based, a lot of optical. So yeah, it was a slippery slope from the industry teaching individually and online, and then actually officially in the classroom, where I'm pretty sure I'm the first person to have a volumetric practicum active in the United States right now.
Wow. By volumetric, can you kind of break that down?
Sure. So here at Georgia State, the stage that's actually behind me is a 4D view system. So like 2D, 3D, 4D. Okay. And 4D views is a camera system that basically shoots focal cones that will create OBJ sequences. Okay. So every frame is its own independent OBJ with a PNG sequence embedded over the top of that. What you get out of that is exactly what you might find in an image sequence, but in 3D. There's only 9 of these in the world, and I'm a technical director on this stage, and we do commercial shoots. We've done things for things like the Super Bowl here in Atlanta. We shot Jerry Rice. I've had Mixmaster Mike on this stage as a personal hero and the first volumetric DJ. But we are very, very, very tuned in to what the next level workforce needs to be able to speak to in terms of digital humans. And certainly the Reallusion family of tools plays into that. And we utilize that for a variety of things now with our Unreal pipelines as well. Wow, yeah. But there's so much more in the world of motion capture that we're constantly innovating with and testing with. And it's a pretty cool time for Mocap.
That's amazing. All right, so I guess my first initial question is, you're at the cutting edge, the bleeding edge, or what do you want to say, of mocap, AR, and VR, right?
Sure.
Where do you feel, this is just speculative, it's just speculation, where do you feel like, are we headed into more ARville? Because even today, I think Facebook did like a live using the Oculus Rift, and it's becoming more common technology, right? Just for consumers.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily trying to do X, Y, and Z with it, but to entertain yourself with it. So where do you feel that are we going to leap into? Is AR, or is it like, 5 years ago people said AR is the final destination. That's when you integrate real life with VR. Or is it just traditional VR where you put glasses on and you're in a whole another world? You put on a Rococo suit and you're fully submerged. Or is it something that you have in your back pocket and you're just not telling us about?
Well, shout out to Jacob and Mattias. They just released their gloves today, and love to see that emerging into the market. And the guys at Rococo certainly are making waves in inertia-based motion capture, and we love that. We love competition. We love compatibility, and you're seeing that, right? And the hand market's emerging. The inertia-based market is more popular than ever before with Xsense, Perception Neuron, Rococo. I was one of the early Noitom adopters, and like you mentioned, that's actually what we captured Mr. John Wick himself with. 4 hands, right? So it's interesting when you watch the landscape that is the market, and then also when you really, really listen closely to the digital buffalo as they stomp into the future and from the future. And of course, everybody's waiting on Apple to save us all again, right? Because Magic Leap was a magic, not so major leap. So essentially, yeah, AR is certainly, I think, where we're going in many, many respects. You can look at automotive companies like BMW, what they're doing with their screens. You can certainly look at what we're doing with game assets and where those things are going. And with companies like Wave that are, delivering performances from people like John Legend and Lindsey Sterling and The Weeknd for TikTok and that kind of distribution and these kinds of, behemoth platforms where, my kids, your kids, everybody's kids are already there. They're already congregating, or they're already in Fortnite and they're hanging out with Travis Scott while they play, right? All of this is content, right? At the end of the day, content's still king, man. And if you are a content creator, right, you have the ability to wield more than ever before digital content in more exciting and visually stimulating ways. And the Quest is hot ink, man, right? It's a brand new version and it's cheaper. So the democratization of this industry is really where the magic is happening, right? Because people can access the tech, people can create the content, and they can do that in ways that used to take buildings full of people, months and months of dev, months and months of tech art that actually went into that. And in some cases, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And you can achieve it now, man, for, pennies.
Exactly. I mean, me personally, I kick myself every day. It's like, I just found out about Reallusion and Iclone on the software. So I deep dive. And what I like about Reallusion is the fact that it's easy to use, right? Especially coming from any 3D application, it's universal. You can get into it. I feel like learning curve. I feel like a week and you're super comfortable. You're right in there. 100%. You're moving and grooving. You can, and not only that, I mean, the store is really dope. I like the store. And there's a lot of assets to bring in, but you can practically bring in any asset from anywhere else, and you bring it right in, and it's integratable. Like for me, one of the difficult parts was getting a character, designing it, and then getting the bones in it, and then animating it. It was just that whole process of setting up the character was like, I'm not going to do this. It's not possible, right? And then when you do one, you have to do like 10 or 20. So what I found with the character creator, which is a super amazing tool, you can grab characters from DAS and you can bring them in. You can bring your own characters in and bring them from 3D Exchange, and then you can just rig them up and you put them in there. And now you got face motion capture with the Roku. It's like, to me, it's like it's a hub, right? And then after that, this was before the Unreal days. These new guys coming on, right? So you kick it out to Cinema 4D or Blender, and it had the ability to you're right there. You can take your stuff in there. You can render it out of Iclone, however you want to do it. And now with the integration with Unreal, it's like, it's amazing. Just bringing in assets. I found myself for other projects that had no animation, just to bring in an asset, drop it in Reallusion, just to kick it out to Unreal, because it has everything just set up, and the materials are already set up. You know what I mean? And it's done right, and everything's just nice, So, I mean, it's such an amazing tool. And I always put myself at the cutting edge of software. And I'm like, how did I not find out this software? It's like, what was I? I mean, if I would have had this 3 years ago, I would have been animating like bananas. But, everything happens for a reason, right? So
that's the thing, it's a sleeper, and it crept up. Character creator is in version 3. Iclone is in version 7 and ... Right. So there's constant rapid innovation from the research and development team in Taiwan. They're extremely talented, extremely tapped into the industry, and one of the secret ingredients to the success of Reallusion and Reallusion tools is the compatibility with everything that you just mentioned and so much more. Marvelous Designer, ZBrush Go Z Pipeline. I mean, the list just keeps going and going. The profiles keep going and going. Are you using Faceware? Are you using Live Face? Are you using Rococo or Noitom or Xsense? Do you want to pipe in Manus VR and other hand solutions, even Leap Motion? The rabbit hole's deep, and a lot of people have stepped over the rabbit hole over the years or stepped around it. And the fact of the matter is once you dive into the Reallusion family of tools, especially Character Creator and Iclone, but you can't even count out Crazy Talk and Cartoon Animator, right, for 2D. Yeah. So they really have a strong foundation of a skeleton that's been built around Viceme scheduling algorithms that are very robust. you get instant facial animation, and you're absolutely right, man. I can take somebody off the street that's never animated a day in their life and has no idea what a nonlinear editor is. And in, 8 hours, man, I've got them rendering in 4K or less.
Yeah. And on top of that, it gives you the ability to animate traditionally with keyframes and to animate with bringing in your with your mocap. So I found myself, because I'm working on this project right now, I found myself bringing in the mocap, right? Do a quick little scene, you know what I mean? Or record myself, and I can't jump and kick out how I want to do like these anime characters. I jump, I take my character, I raise them up a good 10 feet, right? I got my arms is just kind of wobbly, I straighten that out. So it's like what makes it so amazing too for me is that I can really kind of lay the foundation of mine, right? Just trying to get the groundwork done, and then animate on top of that, and then connect to animation that had no to do with anything, and then I can just bring in almost like with 3D Exchange. I like because I have some anime friends of mine. It's like, look, do you have any old animations that I can borrow, like some punches and kicks and stuff like that? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send it to me.
Sure.
Don't care what format. I FBX it in, and I just retarget it, and then I'm in there as if. And then it rigs to the character, and what I do at last minute, I change. Like I'm really bad at changing characters' looks at the last minute. So, but I'm able to change a character's look at the last. That makes it even worse. I'm able to
producers are gonna love you, Sadiq, man. Like that. They love doing that, man. First unit come down, from our department. Like, hey, guess what, everybody? We got 3 character changes and 2 casting changes and 3 wardrobe changes to go with the other 2 casting changes. Yes. We need those by 4 o'clock. So that's the thing. Rapid prototyping allows you to say yes to that. Not just like a studio or a team of animators or a seasoned animator. You out there. You know what I mean? Like you can get in there and say, you know what? Where's that FBX soft spot in your workflow? You need somebody that can do stylized characters, virtual clothing. You want to do fashion and Marvelous Designer and bring that in. Absolutely. Character Creator is your tool, right? Because it's going to allow you to drag and drop a lot of that, approach some things that are otherwise comprehensive, learning curves like skin weighting, right? Or even some traditional vertex modeling is available in there to clean things, to address collision, and it's got auto collision detection. And, as a young modeler in 3D Max, if somebody had said auto collision detection, I would have been very, very, very interested in that, right? So, especially in the time of the game engine, right? Because we want our assets to do so much more than just animate or just perform now. It's great if you can have a game asset that actually performs in your cinematics, looks great in your RTX, environment, has, intelligent shaders, just like what you were saying. And like right now, one of my most popular classes at Georgia State University at the Creative Media Industries Institute, where we are 100% focused on virtual production and 100% focused on game design, and not just the old methods of, we're gonna make you do game theory forever and then maybe make a board game or something. You're going directly into level design. You're going directly into sequencer. You're going directly in to comprehensive motion capture in a $12,000 link suit. Okay. Yeah. We are going to teach you kung fu in a way that actually makes you dangerous, not to yourself or to others, but to the studios out there, the 150 plus game studios here in Atlanta that we boast, the 6 or 7 large scale, and we're talking Tyler Perry, we're talking Pinewood, we're talking Screen Gems. Black Hall Studios is a beautiful facility here in Atlanta. There's so many options that are looking for virtual production, and especially UE4 designers. So we're not spending our time in traditional antiquated workflows anymore. We truly are an innovation institute.
Yes. I had, I posted some stuff in like this private group I'm in, and 3 or 4 I'm like, yo, what is this tool? I'm explaining the tool. And yes, it's definitely, you do get, I like people who use Revolution, you do get jobs. Like there is a lot of, you can just do Previz if you want to. Just be a Previz guy and you can just knock that out. There 100%. Is a lot of jobs. And then you can tie in with other. I mean, a lot of people are moving to the mocap. They're planning to put that into their workflow. So sure. I mean, it's such a great tool. I'm not judging. I'm like a lot of people are like, is this a commercial? No, trust me. If I back a tool,
We just
that
love
means
it.
I'm up 2 a.m. running through the motions. I'm literally gonna break the tool when I get into it. I'm doing everything possible. I'm in the forums. I'm there. I'm in the #1 commenter. So if I back a tool, it's legit. So I mean, what Revolution does, it not like even the 2D aspect of it, right? So they have this new thing. I know you know that you can do mocap in 2D, right? So for a cartoon, you can grab your mocap and just start animating that way. So
Face and hands.
Face and hands. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I feel like it's gonna be a boom with this software. When as it get out there, it's gonna be a boom, and then we're gonna start getting a flood of animation, a flood of good stuff.
It's not going to be a toon boom, though. I mean, it's going to be a cartoon animator boom.
Exactly, a huge cartoon animator. Because even that, like, even taking the cartoon anime, I might give out my workflow here, but what I do is I take the cartoon anime, the 2D assets, I render them out, and I bring them into After Effects, right? So now I got 3D, got Parallax, and if I really want to get fancy, I'll bring them into Cinema 4D, and then I can do a lot of things with it. Or if I can bring it into Revolution, and I can bring that into Unreal. It's like a huge pipeline.
Rewind. Hold up, Sadiq. Say it again, man. Did I just hear you say? See, you put me in infomercial mode now, bro. Like this is happening. So did I just hear you say you go from cartoon animator to AE to C4D?
Yeah. I mean,
that's a fire workflow, you see, like, but people miss that. You know what I mean? There's a full PSD workflow. There's a full AE workflow. Yeah. And then if you spice that up, man, if you throw a little gasoline on that fire with something like C4D, you've got power, man. You've got power and ability. And you know what? A lot of people, man, we just did some stuff for a local hip hop legend. There's a few of them that might come to mind. It's probably the one you're thinking of. And he basically is doing some kid stuff right now that we did some 2D for. And, you know, it's amazing when you can animate with such speed in 2D and 3D that you can animate to social aspects, satire, current events. And that's something that really makes us a dangerous tool out there for people who have something to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge tool, and I think it's still growing. Like there's with the Unreal connection, which was like, and then it's like, oh, that's free. It's free. Oh, well, that's a game over. So I'm not sleeping for next week. So I mean, it's such a tool because I jump into Unreal, and I started doing like demos. I wanted to see like how good is Unreal. Like not for gamers, a lot of people use it because Revolution. I think a lot of gamers are using it and they're creating characters and they're building out things they couldn't build, right?
Sure.
So I think a lot now new wave of filmmakers are getting there who's doing some animation, like look, final version animation, right? Because the character design is such high level that you're there, right? You're competing, and then it has like this Go Z brush, so you can just take it in there and you can tweak it. And the crazy part about it, once you take a character into, like people don't know this, when you take a character and you hit the Go Z button, you can have somebody else hook it up, and then you can bring it back in. All the facial animation is still retargeted. All that it still works. It's not like I gotta retarget. You just have a image. No, you can have a full video and you can render it out inside of Iclone. So that makes it truly amazing. And I feel like Unreal is that tool that the capabilities of doing AR and VR makes a lot of things possible. It's like a universal tool, right? It's like, to me, it's like the new After Effects, right? What has people, everybody kind of goes in there and uses it for different, I guess, for different reasons, right? And I feel like that's amazing. So I'm gonna ask you some advice on mocap, right?
Okay.
I mean, I know you teach a class, and I know you just only give me like the top layer, but far as mocap go, for me personally, right? How do you go about achieving what's a good indie workflow? You just give of getting mocap, like you get the mocap suit. Do you do full scenes, or do you do I'm gonna walk in here, I'll cut that, and then I'll blend that to the next scene, right? What is
it's really project per project, right? It's all about what we need for lensing specific things, right? So if it's an AR or a VR sort of endeavor, then absolutely we are going to have a variety of approaches where we'll probably actually go with, full performances, where it's not just compartmentalized into takes, where we're going to get, full scenes or full sequences, and especially where we're working on AAA features, where we're doing stunt work, things like that. We're going with the full sequence.
Right.
And so essentially what we have to do is really think it through. And for indies, I really strongly suggest that if you're an independent artist, animator, studio that are, making the most of, budget mocap, which is really what I think a lot of people are interested in mostly.
Right.
There's some solutions out there, even the Perception Neuron 1.0, that are still very, very viable. Rococo's coming in at a very competitive price point.
Right.
Xsense is known for really, really high-end data, but not everybody can really shell out the $7,500 to start, plus the cost of NVN Studio.
Right.
So for me, it's making use of what works for you and thinking through your shot list in a really sort of conservative way, and only capturing what you need, right? And so in some cases, suits of all kinds are overkill. You're seeing in the market right now, first of all, there's lots of libraries. People make, huge use of the Mixamo library still that's out there, and there's some decent motion there that you can really kind of tweak and edit and make your own. You've got the Rococo library that they've put out, which is really, really nice and has a lot of variety. But then if you're looking for very performance specific sort of mocap that is, custom to your performance and your production, then there's even some things like, some video mocap sources now that are utilizing artificial intelligence to drive skeletal meshes and really make a decent FBX come out of that, but they do not come without their limitations. However, the price point is aggressively lower than even the cheapest mocap suit. So you're seeing a lot of that emerge into the industry, and I really would, tell people that it's really project specific and it's independent to your production needs. What the true answer to that question is. For us, man, my favorite workflow is definitely not for the indie or the faint of heart. I really prefer to capture all of my talent in link suits. I think it's a really, really robust and comprehensive way to approach character motion from the head down to the wrists. And then for hands, I've had really interesting success with Manus gloves. Although they are not without their limitations. So I'm keen to see what Stretch Sense is going to bring into the market, and I'm really looking forward to assessing the Rococo gloves too.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, because I ordered my Rococo gloves and haven't came out yet, so I can't wait to get it, because now I can just get some things reanimated, just plop those hands back into there. So talk. I mean, I know you probably can't talk about Suicide Squad, but who dies? I'm just playing. But so
everybody.
Everybody dies.
Everybody dies.
Opening scene. But so I guess my question is, I know a lot of indies and a lot of majors like to hear about other processes, other workflows, and you just spoke about it. But for Suicide Squad, was there something that necessarily that you had to do differently with this one, or is it just amplifying what you did last? Because I feel like technology keeps changing. How do you keep a procedure going? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, this just came out.
Stuff. You take innovative new techniques and tools, right? And you have to embrace them. And that's not always the easiest thing to get past a technical director or a VFX supervisor, especially if they're very, very set in their ways. It's tough to be the new kids on the block, and it's even tougher to be the new tech on the block. And when you're both, you don't tend to be the most popular guy in the room if you come in swinging a big stick and say, look, we're going to throw out everything that you do and do it better and faster and easier and cheaper. Although that last part, when you start saying cheaper, the executive producers and the first unit guys and the powers that be that control the bags of money, they do listen. When you start talking about bringing down that bottom line. So when we talk about previs and we talk about innovative early pre-production and really making use of this stuff, there's some things that I find it as a go-to no matter what production I'm on. So one thing I can say about Suicide Squad that I'm proud of, without giving anything away, is that we attached to a really, really awesome team of stunties from down under, Proxy Virtual Production, and they're better known as all the crazy guys who did Mad Max Fury Road and were up on the stilts in the desert. And one of my favorite stories from our Mr. Miyagi, Splinter himself, Mr. Guy Norris, who was the original bad guy in the first Mad Max before Mel Gibson, right? So if you're a Road Warrior nerd or before, then you know what's up. Guy is a world record holder for the most rolls in a stunt car, and he is the actual stuntman who wrecked the giant truck in Mad Max Fury Road. Wow. So these guys have been doing this a long time. They know the craft. They are trusted. They've been with James Gunn on things like Guardians and Suicide Squad 1 and some other productions. So Guy is a trusted and veteran name in the industry for certainly stunt performance and certainly violent, high-end, crazy, dynamic stunt performance. So where the Atlanta crew really shined last year was with the UE4 workflow and attaching to their pipeline. And without giving anything away, we did break a world record for inertia-based suits at Pinewood last year. So
that's awesome. That's awesome, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the movie. I now feel like I have a little behind the scenes. Like I can't wait. It now makes it even better. So
that's all I can do. Otherwise, like Rocket will come out of the sky and shoot me with a giant laser or something.
So let me ask you this. I like to ask, because you're in a field where technology is ever emerging, so you can't be fully submerged in something because it may be another option. You have to be adaptable to that option. So on the opposite end, how do you, I guess, in the efforts of mental health and all that good stuff, what do you do to unwind, right? What do you do do you play video games, or do you just erase technology? What is your unwinding thing? Like you just want, hey,
I love my koi fish. That's a big part of my day. Man, I game a lot with my kids. That's become a parental bonding activity. We slay a lot of folks. Our new thing that we're playing with right now is Spellbreaker, and it's kind of like Fortnite with wizards, and it's pretty cool. UE4, and other than that, man, like I really dig being around other industry professionals that are just kind of into the same stuff. We nerd out a lot, right? So you might find us playing with our new Looking Glass, and messing around with the Run the Jewels contest on SketchUp, or you might find us hanging out and exploring new ways to do performance capture with musicians, and sometimes those are really, really cool people that just happen to stop by our studio. Then again, you might find my partner in crime and I, Joel Mack, and VP John, and also Professor Thomas, the four of us hanging out, having nigiri and sashimi at any sushi bar close to wherever we're hanging out. So that's pretty typical. We're also known to be wing connoisseurs from time to time and seek out Parmesan garlic wings, like we're hunting elk or something. I don't know.
I've been there. So let me ask you a question here. So with the COVID, right? The COVID,
sure.
Right? So
yeah.
I feel like that has opened up a lot of people's eyes to doing more things a lot differently, right?
Sure.
And since you're in the field, I feel like you're positioned, you can adapt, and you kind of can see necessarily, okay, well, this is something you could do that will be lasting and be a better option. How has COVID affected, how's your work? How's that affect your day to day?
Well, obviously, it's a terrible disease that is, we were not prepared for as a nation. There was a lot that should have been done to protect the people of this country. There's a lot that should have been done to protect the industry in this country. Locally here in Georgia, there's a lot that should have been done to protect what we're doing here for the film, television, and game design industry. And I feel like a lot of balls were dropped. So I just want to take a second to encourage everybody to go vote. It's important this year more than ever. So please take the time in November to make the right decision. That being said, I would say that my industry's been affected top to bottom, man. And really with our, we're both in the dirty, so we got the same governor, we got the same people that, we deal with on the day to day and that impact our lives. And, whether I can get up and down 75 effectively and, in and out of the city safely and this kind of thing. And, I think there's been some lack of leadership there. And I think that had a residual effect that we're now bouncing back from. COVID, if we had have been prepared, if we had have had plans in place, and if we had had people, because we have a lot of smart people here in Georgia, there's a place called the CDC right down the road that has some smart folks. Maybe not all of them, but most of them pretty smart. And, we really should have listened a little bit closer. I think we would have been in a better position. I think Hollywood, places like Vancouver, Montreal, New York, places where you're going to find a lot of production like you find here in Atlanta. So for our industry, we've been impacted and we're bouncing back. And I think we're going to bounce back stronger and better than ever because this is a galvanizing moment for our nation, and it's really going to make everybody stand together. And it's going to make everybody, really want to kind of push back into what we know is now the old days, right? The old days of production. So here locally at Georgia State, one of the things that I did and trying to play my part was I was early to adopt a lot of the CDC protocol and then also co-author a lot of the protocol here for no contact capture and really listen to the science. Wear masks, clean surfaces, wash your hands incessantly, and rinse, repeat. So we have protocol in place here, like an actual control room, talk through mics, monitors for witness cameras, and also for monitor playback, so they can actually see what the TD is doing instead of just hanging out playing Fortnite or in the launcher. So. They can hang out and watch also through our window. Actually, you can see it in this photo that way, right over there. Yeah. So we do have it where this drapery system behind me can be pulled back, and then you can watch and observe. While our technicians and our talent are safely distanced away. For example, my workstation is 10 feet from our door where you actually enter the stage, and it's a 50 by 40 capture space. So talent never comes within 10 feet of even technical direction. Engineers are 6 feet away from each other. We really take it seriously, and we take talent safety and creative team safety very, very seriously.
Yeah, very smart. That's smart. I mean, it's so important. I feel like going forward, even though we may get over the initial big influx, I think going forward, I think we just have to keep certain practices in because we don't know. You don't want to flare up and then it's back up again, but I think being safe is always the best option.
100%. We're a fun team. We like to keep it loose, but man, this has really caused everybody to tighten up the screws and consider the health and safety of each person around you, whether that's catering, whether that's janitorial, man. I mean everybody, top to bottom.
That makes sense. So far as new technology. Where do you what's your source? Since I feel like everybody's coming to you, you're the bleeding edge. Where do you go to find like new technology in the space? What's the? Is it blogs? Is it Facebook,
Yeah,
YouTube?
I mean, it's cool, man. But have you ever tried DMT? No. All kidding aside, man, I listen to Radiolab. I listen to Rogan. I try to stay on top of podcasts. I try to listen to what's going on in the tech world. Just last night, we were hanging out incognito at SIGGRAPH New York in the animation review. You might find our team in some pretty interesting places from time to time, especially virtually now, right?
Right.
So virtually we have a variety of ways that, like, oh yeah, we might be in the volumetric meetup group tonight, or we might be in virtual filmmakers tonight. We might pop in and out of film festivals. We basically tap into a lot of different sources, but man, honestly, I pull cards from every part of the deck. If it's interesting, if it's innovative, if it's cool, if it's new. One of the things that I think is interesting about the innovation in our industry right now is that deep fakes jumped the shark and went straight from Stanford research level stuff that you could not get your hands on to it's a free app. It completely missed the commercialization because the AI is so fast and the neural net is so fast and becoming pervasive to creating content. It went straight from research to free.
Yeah. That was amazing how it hit the internet, and you're right. It skipped the whole
It skipped
commercialism. Yeah, it went straight from the labs to people's hands, and they were just. And it flooded. I mean, the first time I seen it, it was like a video, and it was like it had Obama talking, and it was crazy. And I was like, what? How? It was before. It was like I knew it was somewhat fake because of what he was saying was just crazy. But it was like, wow, you know what I mean? The technology. And then I found out it was just some kid, and he was just messing around with it. It was like, oh my goodness. It feels like can't take video anymore. So
6 months later, it's free and it's on an app, and like people that. I know that have never picked up an animation tool a day in their life are now making deepfakes. It's just crazy.
That's crazy. So speaking of young people, if they wanted to get in, all right, they want to be the next James, right? They want to work on big movies. They want to do the AR and the VR and be at the cutting edge and all that good stuff. What would be there for? They're coming out of high school. Do they go to college, right, and get that foundation in there? What would you recommend them to do, and like what would be their steps?
Well, I mean, I think it's a question I would have answered very differently a year ago before this pandemic. We've seen a shift in virtual learning and online education that is insane, and I can tell you, one of the recruiting pools that I know, one of my good friends who was the lead recruiter at Riot Games for many years. And he basically would go from animation mentors pool. So, he went to school with me. He ended up throwing luggage at the Port of Everglades and not necessarily doing anything luxurious like, Riot Games lead recruiter. But he made it there because he had really strong ability to recognize talent. And that led him into a really, really lucrative career in recruitment. But, the thing about it is, when we were talking about the kind of people that he would take into Riot, he said, man, I don't go look at SCAD or, School of Visual Arts or, Vancouver Film School or anywhere like that. I go get my people from Animation Mentor because they know what they're doing. They do good character animation. They understand the rigs, and they're pretty much across the board very visually at creating high-end compelling graphic work, illustrations, and that sort of thing. So where I once would have said absolutely you have to go to college, you have to get the degree, you have to go get the MFA, that kind of thing, I don't know that that's always the path. In some cases it wasn't the path for me either, but in some cases I watched some people really take that traditional route and shine with it. These are like I said, titans of industry and the type of people who have the type of jobs that you want. And so it's still certainly viable. Education is never a bad thing,
Mhm.
but I think where you get that education certainly is more accessible and free and comprehensive than ever before.
Mhm.
Real illusion tutorials, for example, are well curated, extremely
Yes,
well produced,
they are.
and very, very comprehensive to the tool set. So you could literally go watch hundreds of hours of content for free,
Mhm.
learn everything that there is to know about the tool, and then walk into a studio with a portfolio. And they're never really going to know the difference unless they ask you for your transcript.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was when the COVID when it hit, I was walking into a new opportunity, a 6 month opportunity, and the day I walk in, they're like, "Look, this is a little bit difficult. Whatever, the situation's gotten worse. We're gonna just go home. We'll call you."
Right.
Never get called, right? So I lose my
Right.
job the first day, right?
Oof.
So I go home, you know what I mean? I have some things cooking, but I start working on Illusion. I start posting things to social. I had some people from inside like the NBA bubble, like a couple of
Mhm.
guys, right? Reach
Yep.
out to me just off some of the work I was doing. I was like, nah, I'm kind of working my animation right now. But it just goes to show that the professional high end results that you get, you know what I mean, just by posting stuff and posting your content online.
100%.
It it's
Man, you would be surprised how many people like myself and other people that are very, very deeply ingrained in real illusion are watching. We are paying attention. We see your work. We know who you are.
yeah,
But essentially, I've seen some really, really cool stuff. Your
right.
stuff's been cool. I've seen some great work coming out of people like Benny D.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Peterson's been doing some really dope stuff, with some AI head creation,
Yes.
enhancement, and then taking that into UE4 and doing some really nice little tasty, simple cinematics.
Right.
It's really all
Right.
it is. Not to knock the work or the camera, but
Mm-hmm.
really not much to it, but very effective, very high
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah.
Um, I hear a lot of little birds out there that get in my ear from time to time for a variety of different reasons, and I can tell you some of these people are having incredible success.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my most successful students, who is one of my independent students, which means that they didn't come to me through a university or anything like that, is I think he has something like 17 or 18 film festival wins. He's in New
Wow.
York, and he understands Broadway. He knows how to structure stage performance, and he uses Iclone like it's his curtain, man.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I feel like it's such a tool that a lot of people in the 3D industry, they're just not aware of. Well, at least from my aspect of, they didn't know the capabilities because it's just that character animation. Everyone's like, I'm not even touching that. Oh, rigging? Yeah, right.
That's the thing
Laser
right
rigging?
there, right
Not even
there.
going
So many
close.
people find these tools that thought, I will never be a character animator. I
Yeah.
will never ever make characters that are mine,
Mm-hmm.
that I design with tools like, as powerful as Substance and
Right.
ZBrush, but they're mine and I'm animating them. And,
Yeah.
Real Illusion tools at the end of the day, for those of you who don't know or haven't experienced it or haven't played around, they literally empower you to have a human element to your animation, whether that is for games or whatever the case is, for cinematics or just personal sort of movie and story creation. And it's in a variety of ways. It can be stylized, it can be photoreal, it can be non-standard, just like you were talking about, man, where you can bring in other assets. You a Daz guy, or you a poser guy from way back? I mean, you can bring in using the transformer, and then all of a sudden those beautiful Daz avatars that you like to pose are now auto blinking and coming to life, and without you having to be a superstar rigger and character modeler,
Right.
you now have the benefit of the skill set that you would acquire in becoming those things.
Yeah. That auto blink threw me for a loop because I didn't know that was. I was like, it was like 4 a.m. and I'm getting this guy in there and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the blinking, the facial. He started blinking. I was like, oh, did he just blink? Did
Like,
he just?
is this thing symbiont? Like,
Yeah.
does this have artificial intelligence
No, we
reaction?
went too far. Turn around. But so yeah, I mean, it's a super huge tool. So let me ask you, can you give us any spoilers for Iclone 8? Right, because we know it's coming. We've seen a roadmap.
Oh,
and I didn't even see that Substance Painter add-on they just threw in the middle of the night. They just kind of
just little substance add-on.
Well, that changes my workflow. Makes it a
no
little
big
easier.
deal.
But
yeah, man. I've been in the beta for a while.
Right. Oh, you been playing with the beta?
Oh, I'm a beta guy. Iclone 8, without saying anything, is it is a leap forward that iCloners who have been around for a while have come to know to expect from Reallusion. But I promise you, even with what is out there in the roadmap, there are going to be things about the unexpected with 8 that will visually blow your mind.
Wow. Honestly, I feel like I'm good with 7. Like, as so many features that 8 is, because a lot of times I'm
because you never used 4 or 5.
I came right in. But there's a lot of software that needs an update, right? Like, oh man, it's kind of behind the industry. I feel like for me personally, with 7 and the Unreal link, and then honestly, you can kick it out to like an FBX and take it anywhere you want to go. And not only characters, you can kick out, like, you know, you do some dynamics and kick that out as well. I'm like, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty much, I'm good. My workflow's good. It can only grow for me personally. So it's not like, oh man,
but really, are you really good? Ask yourself this question.
I mean, I could be better.
What's not there that you would like to have? That's the question to ask yourself. And I can promise you this: there's a strong chance Iclone 8 probably has an answer for whatever you just thought of.
I mean, character creator with that, with the face, I forgot the official name of it.
Headshot.
Your face, the headshot. That's amazing.
Yeah. We actually, I'll give you a little behind the scenes on both that and Suicide Squad. So we did the closed beta of Headshot on Suicide Squad, and we were doing the digital casting with the first alpha of Headshot. And I won't take the credit for it, but the guy that was sitting beside me actually named the plugin.
Oh wow! Oh! I see the connection. Suicide Squad. Wow.
Headshot. Think about
it. Didn't. Wow. That's amazing.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I mean, with Headshot, I was able to like turn, like, you know, when you get actors in casting, you can actually turn them into, because you can take it and then bring it into Create and, you know, exaggerate the features and make it more toonish. And then you can take that and do like a straight tune character.
It's not meant to be like the magic bullet. It's like, you know, Headshot is meant to get you to that base point, and then you add in, you know, use things like Skin Gen or use things like ZBrush to really enhance that, right? There's the lensing tools, there's all those things. But I'll tell you this, I'll give you one of my secrets. So I cheat because I like to own my photography. And it's funny because if you take a picture of a celebrity, all of a sudden you've got something that you really can't use, even though you've got something that you really want to use. And there's a way around this. It's a very, very, very tricky, slippery slope, but you can do this too. So this is a official James tip and trick. I go to wax museums because I'm a weirdo, and I go to wax museums for the purpose of, you know, just taking pictures perfectly lit, perfectly still of celebrities that don't exist. And then I put that in Headshot.
Wow. That I mean, I feel like that opens up a whole, what is
very sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, like, is it, because then I was like, actually what I started doing, I went online and I grabbed pictures of 2 celebrities.
Sure.
Fused them together, made a love
child,
right?
Oh,
then
yeah.
took that fuse and brought it to character creator. Didn't mind, didn't care.
Nope.
Boom, you have a character. Then took that and de-aged the character.
Sure.
Now I have like an 18-year-old kid. It's like, it's amazing tool. It's like, and then you do that, and you're like, okay, well, what do I do next? What if I do this? What if I do
Absolutely. This? You can do the old version. You can do the I'm out of weight fat Thor version. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, absolutely. It's digital casting, man. It is like having a endless bucket of silly putty for you to just pull other people's faces onto assets.
Man, It's amazing tools. Amazing tools. So far as what you got going on right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I know I'm just gonna shoot for the stars. I know you're way outside a lot of people's budget, but let's say we hit the lotto, right? We're rich
Sure.
now. We're throwing money around.
Awesome.
We want to bring James into our production line.
Sure.
Get some mocap going on. We want to do something different. Everybody says, I want to do something new, right?
Right.
So how do we go? Because I always like to leave information out there. So how do we go about contacting you? I know you're all over the internet. You sprinkle over there like glitter.
Yep.
But how do we go about? I mean, are you working on your own projects right now? Are you're still working with I know you're doing a lot of movies right now, and you're teaching. Are you just tapped out, or you always interested in stuff?
So I have the benefit of multiplication. I can clone myself, no pun intended. And the beautiful part about that is that we have a small production team here in Atlanta that scales from maybe 4 to 10 people, depending on what we're doing and depending on what we're attaching to. I have a few different inceptions of me. For example, if you wanted to book me for technical direction on our volumetric stage and actually do some volumetric production work, you can find me at Georgia State, and the website for that is really easy to remember. It's CMII, so the Creative Media Industries Institute.gsu.edu. And Georgia State University and the Creative Media Industries Institute is the home for this technology. And we are industry facing. So we are commercial, we are open door. We also have a 40 camera OptiTrack on this stage. We have a variety of link suits and windows, also Rococo, also Perception Neuron Pros. We shoot with Faceware, we shoot with Live Face, we have hand solutions, and all of that is rateable and bookable. Okay, you can actually shoot with me on this space with all of that technology and the Reallusion pipeline of tools. We have an engineering crew that is capable to cover all areas. So there's that. Also for training and for production, James at actorcapture.com is one way that you can find me there. So Actor Capture is a newly formed company that is a production leg of ours here in Atlanta. So if you have a production that is in need of real-time animation or virtual production for, say, maybe virtual cameras or digital assets or actual digital double creation, then we can be on your team, and we basically can attach to that anywhere in the world.
Awesome. That's awesome. Man, that's awesome. I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate taking a step out of your schedule. You know what I mean? I appreciate all information. I appreciate everything you're doing, kind of pushing it forward, because I'm coming right behind you. Just as soon as you figure out the bugs, I'm like, all right, yes, it's ready now.
I'm with it. With the dirty South, we will rise together, man.
Yes, exactly. So, man, I just want to say I really appreciate you coming and doing the show. I appreciate all the information. I appreciate you taking your time and everything, man. I know you're very busy. I know with the COVID, I know it affects everybody differently, but I truly appreciate you, taking the time to do this podcast. And
I appreciate it.
I want to say thank you. I mean, I think that's a wrap. I think we got everything in.
Cool, man. I appreciate you having me, and absolutely, if anybody wants to reach out, feel free to hit up Sadiq, and he knows where to find me.
Yes. Oh, one last request. When
Sure.
Iclone 8 comes out, could we have you back?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Bring me back on, and I'll walk you through all the fun stuff.
Oh man.
And
awesome.
and blow your mind with some of the new stuff.
I can't wait. And if you want to put me in the beta, I'm not officially asking, but I'm gonna slide that in.
I'll make the call to Taiwan tonight, man.
Yes.
They should be waking up right about now. Actually, it's 13 hours ahead, so we'll catch them right before lunch.
Awesome, man. Again, thanks again, man, and thanks
Cool,
everybody for
man.
tuning in.
I appreciate it, Sadiq.